Hello everyone, and welcome to my first ever YouTube video. And today, I'll be making a special hybrid for the Goji Center's Great Hybrid War. You see, after the reveal of the final 16, I was devastated to discover that my hybrid, Deus Sanguinisaurus, which I submitted into the contest, didn't make it to the list. So, in an act of vengeance, I've created an even more overpowered hybrid that will absolutely wipe the floor with each and every single one of the final 16. Anyways, without any further ado, let's begin. Starting with the base genome, I've picked Triceratops horridus, providing the overall body shape, the cranium, or in other words, the frill, horns, and beak composition, ball socket joints at the shoulders and neck level for a wider range of motion, and extra jaw muscles that will work in tandem with one of the upcoming genetic additives. After that, I've added Argentinosaurus quinquelensis, which adds a major boost to my hybrid size and muscle mass, as well as adding air sacs and honeycomb-like bones to further support that large build, while also providing my hybrid greater stamina, in addition to extra osteoderms for defense, and lastly, its hind limb and tail anatomy so it can rear up on its hind limbs and take on a tripod stance, similar to many sauropods for that matter. Next up is none other than the Tyrant Lizard King himself, which provides all the components that make up its devastating bite, which include its skull shape, jaw and neck musculature, teeth, and lips, in combination with heightened intelligence, bolstered senses, and a strengthened skeletal frame, most notable around its thick gastralia that protects the abdominal region of this hybrid. I also added Arctotherium angustidens, the largest bear to ever exist, with some specimens being able to reach 14 feet or 4.3 meters in height when rearing up on their hind limbs, as well as weighing 3,800 pounds. To put that into perspective, that's the height of a fully grown Tyrannosaurus rex and the weight of an adult Allosaurus. So yeah, these guys were no joke, and they were very successful predators in their time, which is due to many factors, such as their heightened intelligence common amongst bears, as well as their abnormal aggression that works very well in tandem with the aggression of the T-Rex and Trike. In addition, it also had a bolstered sense of smell, which will further boost the sense of smell from Tyrannosaurus rex, as well as a highly diverse diet, being omnivorous, meaning it fed on both meat, as well as fruits and other means of vegetation, which will help balance between the herbivorous and carnivorous diet of the diverse genetic additives in my hybrid's genome. Furthermore, it adds some solid weaponry to my hybrid's arsenal, which include its forelimbs that were built for striking with immense force, crushing through bones, as well as shredding through skin and flesh with those ginormous claws, and as well as large canines, which translates to oversized fangs to my hybrid, being able to puncture through thick layers of armor, reaching through vital organs and causing a lethal wound. Not to mention, it also provides extra augmentations to my hybrid's hind limbs, so it can rear up on its hind limbs much more better, as previously mentioned. Then I added Borealopelta Markmichelli for literally shocking nobody, its armor, comprised of large, spiky osteoderms composed of thick layers of keratin, bone, and solid fibers woven under the skin, acting as an effective defensive layer against predators. In addition, it also provides large shoulder spikes, which also act as another means of self-defense. The next genetic contributor in the hybrid's genome is Tegoros elengasin, which, alongside providing extra osteoderms for defense, also provides its unique but powerful thagomizer, which is primarily why I picked this animal over other contributors like potentially Stegosaurus ungulatus, because its thagomizer shape is more in line with the Borealopelta armor. A solid tip for someone that I would like that he considers, in case you're listening, you know who. But jokes aside, this thagomizer would act as a lethal weapon that, if used correctly, that can end any foolish enemy that dares to stand in my hybrid's path. The last extinct genetic contributor in my hybrid's genome is the dodo bird, which, in addition to providing a major boost to my hybrid's sense of smell and intelligence, in the case of intelligence, studies have suggested that dodo birds have the intellectual capabilities of a pigeon, which are highly smart thanks to their overallly large beak case in comparison to their skull shape. But the main reason why I picked this animal was for its unique beak shape, which is very useful, allowing it to crack through hard shells of nuts and crustaceans, as well as acting as an effective means of defending itself, giving my hybrid an effective weapon at its disposal, which when combined with the decomposition of the trike, makes it a very lethal weapon if used correctly. Moving on from the extinct genetic additives to the extant genetic additives, we're starting off by the northern short-haired shrew. And well, you probably know what I'm adding this for. That of course being its potent immune system that can strike off snake venom, as well as their iron-coated teeth, which increase the durability of said teeth, allowing them to withstand constant biting pressure while maintaining their sharpness. And problem that Arctotherium angustidens did actually have. However, I'm also adding other traits that will further boost my hybrid's efficiency in combat, which include a further boost to my hybrid sense of smell, as well as faster reflexes. Now, you might be wondering, why the hell would I add fast reflexes to a Juggernaut hybrid? Well, you see, the final 16 list includes a lot of heavyweight build animals, which are of similar, if not superior, proportions to my hybrid. So, these reflexes can prove advantageous in dodging enemy attacks and landing multiple hits, causing critical damage to the opponents. And even against the smaller and more nimble opponents, these reflexes would prove advantageous at working its way around the superior agility of these animals much more easily. And lastly, their aggression. You might know by now that northern short-haired shrews are hyper-aggressive animals, attacking any animal no matter how big or how small, even if it was from their own kind, on sight, without any second thought put into it, which will be very useful for my hybrid, given that it's, if you didn't know by now, is pretty much a berserker, given that it's highly aggressive. However, it's worth noting that we are not taking its rapid metabolism, as that carries a major drawback even though it plays a vital role in the hybrid northern short-haired shrew's immune system and reflexes and aggression. That drawback being the fact that on this large hybrid, it will make it pretty much impossible to make it satisfied for the day without crashing the entire ecosystem it lives in record time, causing it to starve to death, and well, we don't want that. Not to mention that there are other factors that contribute greatly to these set traits, in other words, the immune system, the reflexes, and the aggression. So yeah, we should be just fine with it while removing this trait. Up next, we have the vampire bat, which also, to no one's surprise, is added for its bolstered immune system and heightened senses, which include improved hearing, echolocation abilities, and thermal energy sensors built into its snout, which work in tandem with an anticoagulant saliva that prevents blood clotting. This way, my hybrid can detect not only the victim's body heat, but also which body spots have the most optimal blood flow and thinnest skin to strike at, and by using its beak as incisors, it can draw blood from its victim and then use its anticoagulant saliva to prevent its clotting, drinking the blood and embedding the iron within it into its claws, teeth, horns, beak, thagomizer, and armor, significantly improving its offensive and defensive capabilities. I also picked the Thorny Devil in order to further boost our hybrid's defensive capabilities. How? Well, as its name suggests, this animal is covered with thorns and spikes all over its body, and when combining that with Boreal Pelta's genes responsible for the armor, we can influence the spike's shape and arrangement across its body. And while the composition, while strong, wouldn't be as strong as the actual armor on its back, it would still be strong enough to make my hybrid properly armored from all angles. In addition, it also provides other useful traits, such as its ability to take on a tripod stance, well, sorta, as well as being able to drink from its feet, enhancing its response to its nutritional requirements. In addition, this hybrid also has reindeer DNA, thanks to the many anatomical perks it provides, which include augmentations to the musculoskeletal composition of its neck and cranium, allowing it to better withstand strong head bashes. Furthermore, its muscles with high oxidative capacity makes it better built for stamina and endurance, while still being capable of exerting tremendous amounts of force with each motion. Not to mention, it also works with the Arctotherium-like legs in order to better enhance its running capabilities. Not to mention that In terms of the thorny devil, another reason why the spikes all over its body aren't as strong as the spikes on its back is also to help my hybrid retain any locomotive traits it still has. However, the most interesting trait that the reindeer provides is its tapetum lucidum, a reflective layer at the back of its eyes that enhances light perception by shifting color from golden to vivid blue during nightfall, amplifying the low levels of blue light and wavelengths, which includes UV light. That's right, my hybrid now has ultraviolet vision, and while it would mostly be active during nighttime, it would still be a very effective tool at locating prey and other sources of food. The last genetic contributor in my hybrid's genome is the rough skin newt, which has an extra layer of skin that houses special bacteria that bioproduces tetrodotoxin, one of the most powerful natural neurotoxins in the world, which is then secreted through its skin, acting as an effective defense measure against predators, which is thanks to its paralytic/narcotic effects, as well as many other effects, that can prove highly dangerous and lethal. Scaling up to the size of my hybrid, the larger size would mean it would produce abnormally larger quantities of tetrodotoxin, probably enough to kill dozens of men with a single dose. To add on to this, rough-skinned newts are also immune to their own tetrodotoxin, meaning that they have a very strong immune system, which further increases my hybrid resilience to pestilent elements. And now that we have analyzed the entire genome, it's time to introduce the final product. Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce Diablosaurus gigantes, name meaning the giant saurian devil, codenamed Satan. Height 7.6 meters or 25 feet in quadrupedal stance, 16.5 meters or 54 feet in tripod stance. Length 23.5 meters or 77 feet. Weight 22 tons. Diet omnivore, meaning that it feeds on meat, blood, fruits, plants, grass, and really any form of vegetation out there. An absolute unit of a hybrid. Every single part of its body is a lethal weapon. Combine that with full body, spiky armor reinforced with iron, and you have a very well armed and armored juggernaut that should not be underestimated in the locomotive department despite its mighty size and strength, as this guy is very fast and agile for an animal of its proportions. Being highly intelligent but also very aggressive, and combine that with acute senses, my hybrid can track down its prey from many miles away and rush it, absolutely shredding it to pieces in a matter of an instant. And for anyone foolish enough to dare challenge my hybrid or anger this hungry beast, it will meet a very nasty end. After a barrage of overpowered bites, large spearing horns, robust forelimbs, thunderous tail thagamizer, and a gnarly cocktail of toxins. So those final 16 better know very well, when the earth starts rumbling, their judgment day has arrived. And that's all for today. I would like to thank you so much for taking a time from your day to watch this video. If you liked what you just watched, then be sure to like and subscribe for more hybrid content. Also, this was very difficult to make, especially given that this was my first ever YouTube video and I didn't even use the script. I was just improvising. So yeah, please show some appreciation in the comments, and also let me know down in the comments whether you think my hybrid can actually take down the final 16 or not. And also, thank you once again so much for watching this video, and until next time, take care, goodbye.